You may think of something, but do not let that fester in your mind longer than 15 seconds, because anything that you focus on will grow. Okay. So why would you focus on something negative or doubtful or fearful or limiting or shameful, right? Like, you don't have to be ashamed of your dreams. You don't have to be ashamed of what you think in your mind or what you dream about at night or what you want to accomplish. There's nothing to be shameful. Whatever it is that you want to manifest or bring into this physical realm, you have every right to want to do these things. It's your life. We are all here created on this earth to pour back into this earth, right? Hi, innovators. Welcome to my channel where I share my journey in hopes to inspire you to live life as an innovator, meaning authentically and staying true to your journey. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the ways that you can rid yourself of procrastination. I'm going to be sharing my journey and some of the things that I've learned during my self-reflection and being a long-term procrastinator. I've been a procrastinator for majority of my life, so I want to share some ways that I've learned to identify when procrastination is starting to creep its way in, as I create different goals that I want to accomplish and just things that I need to get done, and talk through some of the ways that procrastination can show up in your life and how you can overcome those feelings in those moments. So before we get into the actual video, I just wanted to get into this look really quick, because you guys know that I am big on hair, and I tried to give you guys a different look. I went ahead and I did a trim. I clipped my ends and I straightened my hair. For those that don't know, I am a natural girly. But I needed a trim really, really bad. So I straightened it so I could see these ends better. And I did a little bit of a pin curl situation. So yeah, I just wanted to show I just wanted to show off this hair really quick because I think it's just so adorable. And I think um, if you are a subscriber, you know that I'm always giving you guys a new look. So yeah, I'm in my pin curl vibe right now. This is such a tried and true style. You don't see a lot of pin curls anymore or just any like natural looks these days. So I wanted to highlight my hair. All right, but without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, as a fellow procrastinator myself, like I stated earlier, I understand the detriment that procrastination has on your life, okay? Um, One of the habits that I had to get out of was telling myself that I perform better under pressure. I do well under pressure. I do well under pressure. Um, and that could be somewhat true, right? I do believe that I am one of those players, like, throw me in the fourth quarter, pressure is on, I'm going to score every time. And that's something that I will say I leaned on throughout my life, throughout my childhood, because I've always been that person that would like push things off, because in my mind, I have this mindset of like, oh, I can get it done. It's not going to take that much time. I can accomplish this in this amount of time. So I just push it off, rather than having a productive mindset, right? I had more of a reactive mindset of like, you can accomplish this. Oh, this task isn't that large. But what I didn't realize is that that mindset started to become the way I thought about everything, right? And that's when I realized, like, okay, I am a procrastinator. And I have to break free of this. I have to break free of the chains of procrastination, because there are so many tasks that in your everyday life or just in your business, in your job, in anything that you want to accomplish, that they're not check the box type of exercises. They're not tactical things on the list. Like some of these things are strategic. Some of these things you have to plan for. You do have to break these larger projects up, right, in order to accomplish them in a timely fashion, but not only in a timely fashion, but to do them effectively. I realized through my procrastination that when I would wait to the last minute to do things, even though I have this mindset of I can get it done, I wasn't always doing them effectively, right? Sometimes I would make errors or I would miss certain things because I'm just trying to get through things so quickly. So now, as a recovering procrastinator, okay, and I say that, give me grace, guys, because there are times where I do find myself falling into the bloody pits of procrastination. But I really, really, really wanted to work on this part of me or this aspect of me. So I started to do some deep diving, some self reflection, um, becoming aware and conscious of my procrastination, especially as a entrepreneur, which that really helped me dive deeper as to, why am I putting this off? Like, I just started to ask myself questions, journal, write things down, read certain books, get on certain apps. I don't know if you guys heard of the app called Today is the Day, but I downloaded Today is the Day and it really helped me. Like, it gave me like journal prompts to figure out like why was I procrastinating? And honestly, procrastination is not all bad. There are some good aspects of procrastination, which I will talk about, but we have to be more mindful of the parts of procrastination that hold us back, that allow us to delay and delay and delay things that we want to accomplish. That's when procrastination starts to become a little, on the negative side of things. So, because I did this self reflection and I did the inner work, I really wanted to become more aware and conscious and identify my procrastination triggers early on so I don't fall into the pits of procrastination, especially when it comes down to me accomplishing some really big, big goals. Because, like I said earlier, in 2024, we are doing big things. No more small things, we big, okay? So we have to rid ourselves from procrastination. So when I first started to do some of the inner work on procrastination, I started to visualize like what my life would look like if I no longer procrastinated. Like what would that look like? I started to ask myself these questions, and one of the major answers that I gave myself was you will be able to accomplish so much more. I'm a very ambitious girl. I like to feel like I am making waves in the world. And when I'm not doing that, I start to feel like lost or, down on myself because I'm not accomplishing the things that burn inside of me, like my passions, and I feel like I'm putting them off, but I don't know why, right? So I started to visualize like what would my life look like if I didn't procrastinate. Then on the flip side of things, like I said, all procrastination isn't bad. I started to question, how is procrastination serving me? What is procrastination doing to help me or protect me in a way? So, yeah, I am someone who lives with anxiety, right? And anyone who has an anxious nature or has anxiety, procrastination would protect me in my anxious moments where I started to feel like, I would say, like too much pressure to get things done. So, procrastination would give me a safety net or a safety blanket, if you will, to feel like to take the pressure off of me And when I took the pressure off of me in some instances, I did feel relief. I did feel like, okay, it's safe to procrastinate. It's really safe. It's okay. It's protecting me in some way. It's lowering my anxiety. But once I started to identify some of these common procrastination triggers that I'm going to share with you in just a couple moments, it allowed me to I would say lower my anxiety levels or lower my anxious levels and feel like I don't have to rely on procrastination to feel safe within my goals. I hope that makes sense. But sometimes when we set goals for ourselves, we don't feel safe within them because they're really, really big, right? Like we dream big, we're big dreamers, we're innovators, we're creators. So sometimes, when we want to accomplish things or like bring things into fruition that we dream about, we want to feel safe within that. We want to feel like we can get it done, right? So that brings me to the procrastination triggers that I'm going to talk about next. Starting with number one, common procrastination triggers is negative emotions. Negative emotions can show up as doubt, fear, limiting beliefs, and shame. Okay. And I wrote a couple notes down because I don't want to miss anything. But these emotions can make you avoid taking action. It's like they put a barrier between you and your goal, which stops you from actually starting the goal to begin with. This is a big one for me because I definitely going through my journey and realizing, like, why is it that I would prolong things? It's not that I really have fear, because I would consider myself a fearless person. But for me, it really stemmed from doubt and limiting beliefs. I had doubt because I would come up with like the most craziest things to do, right? Like I'm an Aquarius, I'm unorthodox, I'm unconventional. So some of the things that I would want to accomplish in life, when I look around, when I look at my peers, when I look at my environment, when I look at the places that I've come from, it's like the people around me, they have not done this or they don't think like this. So I start to have doubt. I have parents who watch the news a lot, so they are fearful, they're doubtful. They've only gone as far as they can go. So some of that energy like comes and pours onto me, right? So I will say that was one of my major causes of procrastination. But I will say, guys, if you have negative emotions or negative thoughts, when you start to feel a negative thought or negative emotion pour into you or come into your mind, you have to immediately shut it off. Okay, I give myself the 15-second rule. You may think of something, but do not let that fester in your mind longer than 15 seconds because anything that you focus on will grow. Okay, so why would you focus on something negative or doubtful or fearful or limiting or shameful, right? Like you don't have to be ashamed of your dreams. You don't have to be ashamed of what you think in your mind or what you dream about at night or what you want to accomplish. There's nothing to be shameful. Whatever it is that you want to manifest or bring into this physical realm, you have every right to want to do these things. It's your life. We are all here created on this earth to pour back into this earth, right? So, however you feel as though that you need to show up and pour back in, it's no one's job to judge these things, right? So once you start to really center your mindset around that, you will alleviate and eliminate negative emotions. This one kind of allows me to segue into number two, which is your goals are too far in reach. You have far reaching goals. So, again, when we are creating, dreaming, thinking of things that we want to accomplish, we have really, really big goals that we want to smash and that we want to accomplish. sometimes your goals are too far out of reach. And that can trigger you to procrastinate. Now, the way that I have been able to overcome this is not saying think small. Don't think small. Always think big. But when you have a big dream, a big goal, think back to when we were in grade school and the teachers would tell you to brainstorm, right? So brainstorming is when you come up with these huge, huge goals. You have a big topic that you want to discuss and you want to get it out into the world and you want to bring it to fruition, right? But what are some of the things that back in grade school, back to the foundation, what are some of those things that our teachers would tell us? They would tell us create an outline, break it down, create a timeline, right? So procrastination can show up when you have so far reaching goals, but you don't have the steps it takes to get there. So if you create the steps that it takes that or will it will take for you to get there, you come up with a plan, it will alleviate that procrastination. It will remove, once you identify like, hey, I have a really big, exciting thing that I want to accomplish. But then you start to have these thoughts of like, oh, maybe I can't do it, or I just keep pushing it off, pushing it off. You're pushing it off because it's so far out of your reach. Start by having the small building blocks that are going to lead up to these huge goals. So each day, step by step, little by little, you are taking bits and pieces, you're chunking, like taking chunks out of that, right? So you're getting closer and closer and closer to your goal. Number three, procrastination can be triggered because you have a lack of motivation. Okay. And that ties back into number two, which is your goals are too far reaching. Your reason for what you're trying to accomplish is not big enough. And you also may not have a compelling reason, right? Or your why isn't big enough. Your why isn't strong enough. Your why isn't motivating enough. So you have a lack of motivation because you have not tied the things that you want to accomplish to a compelling reason or your major why. And I will say, like, this is some of the things that one of my mentors have shared with me, as to, what keeps you going? How do you keep going every single day to accomplish your goals? And one of the things she said was, you have to have a really big why. Your why has to be your reason for getting up every morning and doing what you have to do, regardless if you're tired, regardless if you're sick, regardless if you're exhausted, regardless if the world is telling you you'll never be able to get that done. Your why, whatever your why is, it has to be very compelling for you in order for you to get up every day and show for yourself and make sure that you are not procrastinating so you can accomplish your goals. Okay. And then once you establish your why and your reason, and you embed it into your mind, soul, spirit, heart, everything, there's nothing that will hold you back. There will be nothing that can demotivate you because your why is going to be your motivator. It's going to be the thing that keeps you going. So, you know how like sometimes you may listen to certain artists or certain athletes. Like for me, um, I listen to rap music sometimes. Rap music is very motivating to me because they, I feel like a lot of rappers, they start from very, very humble beginnings. And not only their talent, but one of the reasons why they're able to make it out of their circumstances that they made it out of is because of their why. A lot of times their why could be, I want to get my mom out the hood. I want to buy my mom a house. I want to give my mom the world, because she raised me and I'm the reason why I am who I am. So sometimes, like listening to that music is just so motivating to me. And that's their why, right? So it's important to establish a really strong why that's going to keep you motivated, keep you going, keep you at it day by day, despite your circumstances, despite what's going on in the world around you. despite your distractions. Your why has to be very compelling for you in order for you to accomplish your goals. And speaking of goals, another procrastination trigger could be that your goals are a little too vague and they need to be more specific. You need to, break them down, really analyze what your end result is. So then that way you can really hone in and alleviate setting goals that are way too vague. And then you're like confused as to how am I even supposed to accomplish this because you haven't um, gotten specific. They're not measurable. If you want to use the SMART goal, assessment tool, you can do that. You never want to, like, for example, if you want to lose weight, right? Or you want to get in shape. You never want to just write down, I want to get in shape or I want to lose weight. How much weight do you want to lose? And what time frame do you want to lose weight or get in shape? What is your goal? What are the specifics behind the goal that you're setting? Because when things are way too vague, you don't know where to start, you don't know where to end, and in the in between, is this even attainable? Is this measurable? So when you start to break it down, I love using the SMART goal um, analogy. I think it helps break down, the way to accomplish a goal and get really specific about it. Create a timeline, measure. Is this attainable? And how do we accomplish this? What is the how do we even report on this to know that we are slowly but surely reaching our goal? So that's another trigger. And that's something that I've definitely had before, where I'm just like, my goals are way too vague. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to end. I don't know if this is even attainable or measurable. But once you start to get a little bit more specific around what you want to accomplish, you start to alleviate yourself from that procrastination. Lack of discipline is another trigger for procrastination. And I'll be honest, I feel like my discipline level has always been pretty intact. Yeah, there are times where I have slacked off in my discipline, but I was raised in a pretty disciplined, strict household. So I think it's embedded in me at this point to become disciplined. But when you have a lack of discipline, it does reflect in a lack of motivation because you're so distracted by other things. You lose sight of your motivation. You lose sight of your why because you're not disciplined and focused on what it is that you need to accomplish, the task that you need to tackle, because you lack discipline. And honestly, what discipline provides you and gives you is the ability to keep going when your motivation is low. Not everyone has high motivation. There are times where your motivation is low, but when you have discipline and you have structure, that is going to allow you to keep going when your motivation levels are a little bit low, right? And also, kind of like what we spoke about earlier, where your goals are far reaching, right? Because we are setting big goals now. So sometimes when you have a lack of discipline and when your end goal or your reward is distant, um, discipline is really going to allow you to stay motivated and stay in the game when you feel like the reward is so far away, right? Because sometimes people do tend to give up or procrastinate or push things along when they feel like, oh, it's going to take me so long to accomplish this. This is such a big goal, and they start falling out the game. They start losing it. So when you are disciplined and you keep that discipline at your forefront, it's going to allow you to stay motivated regardless of your reward being far or regardless of your motivation levels being low or your energy levels being low. That discipline is going to keep you going and keep you in the game and keep you focused. Okay, this one, I feel like I'm talking to my perfectionists out there, my Virgos, some of my Aquarius because we are overthinkers, but One of a common procrastination trigger could be your desire for perfection. You are questioning, are you doing this right? Am I doing this to the level of satisfaction? What if I do this wrong? What if I fail? What if I don't get it right? Is this good enough? Right? Like these are all perfectionism um, thoughts and questions that you may have before you actually produce something. So, your desire for perfection is actually procrastination, and it's really holding you back um, from producing and like getting things done. So, when you have a desire for perfection, it's actually causing you to go over the same details over and over again. I'm pretty sure you all have met someone who it's like they want to do the same thing over and over again, and we're not making any progress. They're looking at the same details again and again and again, and we're not getting anywhere. I will say that this has been a trigger for me, but it's not really a huge trigger for me because I don't just wallow in perfection. I don't, I want to get things done. I want to get it out. But I do sometimes, depending on what it is, right? And depending on how much of an investment that's on the line, I will fall into the pits of perfectionism where I want to, review over and over again. Look at this, ask people, what do you think? What do you think? Get their opinion. But all in all, when you have a desire for perfection, it can lead you down to the path of procrastination where you're actually not getting things done and you're just overthinking and you're not able to produce any results. If good results, you're not producing anything because you're just so afraid to put things out because you're questioning, is this even good enough what I'm actually putting out? Versus, just listening to yourself, listening to that internal guide that lives within you and say, hey, I did think this through, and have enough confidence and faith within yourself that you did think things through. You did put in enough effort, and it's time to launch this thing. It's time to put it out. And a lot of the greats, they put things out when it's not perfect. And you find that mistakes happen along the way, but that's what makes it great because you go back and you perfect things with time. But you never know unless you put it out and you start to receive that feedback. Which brings me to my last and final trigger and how you can identify and overcome these common procrastination triggers. Last one with negative feedback, okay? And negative feedback can come from a friend, your boss, your manager, a family member, your partner, where you are hearing things like that it's just not good enough, or they're giving you negative feedback about something. And that can be very discouraging, demotivating, and cause you to procrastinate. Hearing negative feedback can also cause you to lose inspiration, right? Where you're no longer inspired to accomplish what you set forth to accomplish because you're hearing negative feedback from people that are very close to you. Um, and that can be very demotivating and demotivating and uninspiring. However, if you are constantly hearing negative feedback, I highly encourage you, one, if you can, remove yourself from these people. No, don't go to them for feedback. Don't ask them, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think about that? Because you already know that they're going to give you negative feedback. So don't even go to them. Don't ask them. Go to someone who has an unbiased relationship to you, an unbiased opinion about you. And I highly encourage you to really build yourself up to where you know and that you have that confidence within yourself that no matter what negative feedback you receive, you know the type of work that you put out, you know who you are, you know you've taken the time to really, be effective in accomplishing your goals and creating the things that you want to create. So that's another thing, right? Like you can't listen to the naysayers, whether they are family, whether they are your boss, whether they are your partner. Sometimes when these things happen and you feel demotivated in that sense, and it's constant negative feedback, you may just have to take a step back and say, is this a place that I want to work? You might have to find a new place to work. You might have to distance yourself from certain family members. And you also may have to reevaluate your friendships and relationships. So you're not falling into the pits of procrastination, because you have things that you need to get done. You have goals that you want to accomplish. You have things that God placed inside of you that you need to get done regardless of what the naysayers say. So, guys, that is all I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something new. And I hope that this video helps you all overcome and get rid of procrastination, and helps you to accomplish the goals that you have set forth for 2024 and beyond, right? Because sometimes things take a little bit longer than just 1 year. But I do hope that learning about common procrastination triggers allows you to sit back, assess, do the inner work, do the self-reflection, so you can overcome procrastination, because I want to see you all win, right? So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Stay tuned for the next one, and thank you so much for joining. And if you are not a subscriber, subscribe to my channel, so these videos can continue to get into the right hands of the people that need some inspiration and motivation. But yeah, until the next one, thank you guys.